your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. The 5-minute rule says it's okay to be negative when something goes wrong, but not for more than 5 minutes. I can't change that I was in a car accident. I can't change that I broke 11 bones. I can't change that I have brain damage. And they gave me 1 week to live if I didn't start chemo. Do the right thing, not the easy thing.
So the words that follow I am will follow you your entire life. The words that go after I'm are going to go after you.
Tell yourself that you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable as any other person on earth. They called my parents in and actually sat them down and said, we're concerned that Hal's either delusional or in denial because he's always telling us he's going to walk again.
Hey, this is Marisa here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Your Mind, Your Rules. These episodes are starting to give you value so you can learn something. Today you're going to learn how to survive illness, how to become a best-selling writer, how to become a keynote speaker, if that's what you want. My guest today, who I'm such a fangirl of, is Hal Elrod. He's a best-selling author, a keynote speaker. He created the Miracle Morning, a morning routine now practiced by millions of people in over 100 countries. And like many amazing people, it all came from adversity. Most people who make it do it from something bad. You know, Shakespeare said, from loss comes art. And in your case, that's so true. So Hal's brand is built on one core idea. The quality of your morning determines the quality of your entire life. His story in it is a wow story. It's a real gosh, if he can do it, maybe I can too. At 20, a drunk driver hit him at 70 miles an hour. His heart stopped for 6 minutes. He was technically dead. He broke 11 bones in his body, suffered brain damage, and was told he'd never walk again. And guess what? He walked in 3 weeks, and then he ran a 52-mile ultramarathon. Then in 2016, his life was going so well. In the middle of filming a documentary on the Miracle Morning, he was diagnosed with a rare aggressive cancer and given a 20 to 30% chance of survival. He had to rebuild his whole life, had to change all his rules. His flagship book is The Miracle Morning, published in 2012, self-published, by the way. If you think, oh, self-published is not the same, it's translated into 37 languages. It's sold over 3 million copies. It's changed people's lives. As a writer, if you can write a book that changes someone's life, your life will always have meaning and purpose. And here he is. He's now expanded that into Miracle Morning for entrepreneurs, Miracle Morning for parents, Miracle Morning for addicts, Miracle Morning for you. And he's here to show us all about his Saver system. I'm going to let him explain that. He can do it perfectly. But we're going to learn Hal's rules for writing a book, making adversity a triumph, and surviving cancer. Not just surviving it, but bouncing back like a big rubber ball. So Hal, this book is called Your Mind, Your Rules. I want to start with, what does that mean to you? What does your mind, your rules mean to you?
I think it means that many of us we go through life as victims. Victims of our circumstances, victims of our thoughts. And to me, it's realizing that we have ownership of our mind. We get to choose our thoughts. The thoughts that we choose determines the emotions that we cultivate, that we generate, that we perpetuate. And in doing so, by choosing the thoughts that serve us, we can create the emotions that drive us forward and the vision for the life that we want to create. So I haven't read your book yet. I'm very excited to dig into it.
There's something in here called the ladder of looping thoughts. And it literally is a ladder because you said a victim of your thoughts. So your thoughts create your feelings. Mm-hmm. Your feelings create your behaviors. Who's going to listen to me? Now I feel inadequate. I don't take risks because who's going to listen to me? But if you flip that to, I've got something to say and I can learn to be a great speaker, you feel good. You take action because you go back to who's going to listen to me. So everything begins with a thought. But your thoughts are yours to change. What happens to a thought when you stop thinking it?
When you stop thinking?
Yeah, when you stop thinking a thought, where is it?
You stop giving it energy and it fades.
You no longer think it. So what's the rule that you live by that has absolutely not only changed your life, but in your case, saved your life?
Yeah.
You know, I was told I would never be able to have a baby. I had cancer twice and was told I'd have to live with that forever. I got run over and was told I couldn't walk for 6 months. I actually walked in 6 weeks. And each time I got that diagnosis, I thought, no, this is my mind, my rules. I bounced back from cancer. I had a perfect baby. I recover from being run over super fast, and I use the techniques in this book. In fact, I wrote this book while I was in plaster, having been run over, because the things that made me bounce back will make you bounce back from relationship issues, wealth issues, childhood issues, confidence issues. If you want to live your life on your terms and have love, success, health, wealth, even the body of your dreams, it's all in here. Buy it and change your life forever.
It definitely is my miracle morning, my morning routine. It's because I've realized that how you start your day sets the tone, the direction for the rest of the day. So it determines your mindset. It determines how effective you are at responding to your challenges, how prepared you are to take advantage of the opportunities of your life. And most of us, the way we start our day is we reach for our phone.
And our coffee.
Just like that, we've surrendered our attention to outside forces. It's notifications and text messages and emails and other people's priorities.
Yeah, or the news.
Or the news, yeah.
Which is never good.
And so versus setting the intention for the day and starting the day by focusing on the thoughts that serve us to become the best version of ourselves so we can create the life that we really want.
So tell our audience about Savers. It has changed lives. It has saved lives. Could you explain it to the audience? What is Savers and how did you come up with that?
Yeah, so I'll take us back. 2008, the U.S. economy had crashed and everybody was worried about it. I was not, because I was a life and business success coach. I created my own economy is what I believed. And there's truth to that, but also reality, which is within 6 months, I had lost over half of my coaching clients because the economy affected their business. They couldn't afford me anymore. And so my wife and I were just drowning in debt. I couldn't pay the mortgage. My house was taken away.
And you lost your house.
Lost our house, which, are my first home I'd ever purchased. A year and a half later, the bank's taking it from me, which is talk about feeling helpless.
Sure.
And it was a friend of mine who I called for advice, and he told me to listen to a Jim Rohn audio program, which I thought was a waste of time. I thought, I need to make money. I don't need to listen to self-help audio. But I was desperate, so I was like, I'll try it. And I listened to it, and Jim said something that landed differently than anything I'd ever heard before. He said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And when I heard that, I quantified it. I went on a scale of 1 to 10, I want level 10 success, but my level of personal development is like at a 2 or 3. And I believe this is the disconnect for most people, is we want this level of success and fulfillment in every area, not just business, marriage, you name it, but we don't have a daily ritual that develops us to the level 10 version of who we're capable of being to create the success we want. And so I went searching for the one personal development practice that could change my life, but I couldn't find it. I found 6, which became the Savers.
Yeah.
Silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and what was journaling, but the J would have made the acronym awkward. So journaling became scribing. Yeah. And so, and here's the last thing I'll say about that is any one of those practices, when done consistently, will change your life. And I found that my thought was, what if I did all of them? And so I woke up the next morning, I fumbled my way through all 6 practices. But that morning, I went from 6 months of depression and fear and hopelessness to thinking, if I start every day like this, with this much intention and growth and clarity, it's only a matter of time before I turn my life around. And there's actually one more piece to it, which is I thought it would take a year. It took 2 months. And I remember the moment I went to my wife, Ursula. I said, sweetheart, this morning routine has changed my life so fast, it feels like a miracle. And without skipping a beat, she goes, well, then, sweetheart, it's your miracle morning. I go, yeah, but I didn't know it would become a book. It was just my miracle morning. But when I taught it to my coaching clients, it transformed their lives the way that it had mine. And that's when I realized if it worked for them and worked for me, and none of us were really morning people, this could work for anyone. And that's how the rest is history, is writing the book, self-publishing, and all of that.
So I can hear people saying, oh, it sounds so hard. And I got to get up, and I've got the kids and the breakfast and the laundry and my clothing, and I don't have time.
Yep.
I want you to show us a morning, to say, do this first, and how long it takes you. So let's imagine you've just woken up.
Yep.
Take me through your miracle morning and take me through a rather faster version, so you could do it all in maybe 30. I know you said you can do it actually in 15 minutes if you really want to.
6 minutes.
Well, even better.
So
6.
yeah, there's a chapter in the book called the 6-Minute Miracle
And
Morning.
we've all got 6 minutes.
Exactly.
Everyone's
and I don't
got 6
recommend
minutes.
that anyone that does the Miracle Morning, they want more of it.
Yeah,
they go,
of course.
wow, I feel so good. I want to do 20.
Well,
I
let's
want to do
imagine
30.
if you've got a 15-minute morning. It's
Yeah.
your 15 minutes. Take me through the thing you do first from Savers.
So you can do them in any order, but we'll just walk through them,
Sure.
savers, right? So silence. So you might use your phone to keep you on track, set your timer for 2 minutes, and just sit there, and you can pray, you can meditate, you can do nothing. You can just give yourself relief of like, I've got a lot on my plate, but for the next 2 minutes, I'm just going to sit in total peace. And that's a gift.
And we can all do that.
We can all do that. It doesn't get easier than to do nothing. You literally are doing nothing,
Yeah.
right? Set your timer, sit in silence. Affirmations. This is the biggest misunderstanding, I think, in personal development is we've been taught to do affirmations in very ineffective ways that make most of us roll our eyes and dismiss them. Number one, to lie to ourselves. If you want to be wealthy, just say, I am wealthy. I am wealthy. The problem is, if you're struggling financially, that does not resonate as true for you. Your subconscious goes, you're broke. What do you stop lying to your, and so now you're creating an internal conflict.
So how do we do affirmations correctly? Because it's not affirmations. You're saying it's specific, correct affirmation.
They asked, so there's 3 steps that I teach in the book. Step 1, affirm what you're committed to, right? You don't get what you want just because you want it. You have to be committed to do whatever is necessary to create it in your life. Step 2, affirm why it's a must for you. What are the reasons? Who are you doing this for? And step 3, affirm which actions you'll take and when. So now your affirmations are rooted in truth. They are practical, they are actionable, and they are focused on an outcome, not affirming that something is magically going to change in your life.
Yes, you're not going to go, shanty, money's falling out of my shower head. It's more, I would like a certain amount of money.
I am committed to that amount of money.
And actually the word wanting requires lack. So I always say I require to write a best-selling book. I want to. The word I want to write a book immediately says lack, because we're wanting, but I require. So I would say I require to write a best-selling book. But now I've got to see the action. I've got to sit down and write it.
Yeah.
I've also got to get it published.
Yeah.
I can't just give that as an affirmation.
You're affirming what you require or are committed to.
And the action I must take.
And why it's important. That second step is crucial.
So what
because
I require,
that's what gets you, that's what generates the drive and the desire and the passion and to do it.
Okay, so what I require, why it's important, and the action that must follow those two. So that's an affirmation.
And here's what I'll say on it. Last thing is what you affirm repeatedly becomes your reality.
Oh, I
That's
know.
everything you write about in the book.
Sure.
Right? What you affirm, think repeatedly becomes your reality.
Yeah.
The third in the savers is visualization. So you'd wake up, you'd read your affirmations. They're already typed out, right? And by the way, I have affirmations for the most important areas of my life, my most important goals, my most important roles. So I have affirmations as a husband. Who am I committed to being? Why is it important to me? And which actions will I take to be that husband? And as a father and in my business.
Did you write those or did your wife write them? Because I'm thinking I could give those to my husband.
Your husband,
too.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's a unique perspective. I'm sure she's informed them for sure.
I'm sure she has.
I'm committed to being the husband that she has told me that she wants me to be.
Amazing.
Now, the visualization, similar to affirmations, it's often mistaught. We're taught to create a vision board. We talked about this last night at dinner.
Did.
And just putting pictures of what you want, or even just visualizing the outcome, that can be counterproductive because you can trick your mind into thinking it's a foregone conclusion, independent of any effort by you, which for most things, we have to do the thing that will move us toward the vision. So the way I think of visualization is as mental rehearsal. It's the way athletes do it.
The mind is rehearsing until it thinks it's real.
So you're rehearsing doing the things that you need to do today that will enable you to create that vision in the future for your life. And that's what the world's greatest athletes, they mentally rehearse performing at their best. So when they step on the court, they're already halfway there. They go, I've seen this, I've felt it, and now I know exactly what to do because I rehearsed it.
So I had a client who is a tennis player, but she was in a very small European country playing against a big American.
Okay.
And she knew that the crowd wouldn't like her. And she said, every time I hear a boo, my mind thinks it's a cheer. Because she knew that she would have no support. So she believed the whole crowd were cheering her, that every boo is a cheer. She reframed it. And against all the odds, you won.
That is a perfect example
Yeah.
of mentally rehearsing
Yeah.
the reality that you are committed to
And
creating.
saying,
for the
I
day.
will hear, I will during that marathon find it hard, but I will also overcome it,
Yeah.
rather than saying it's all going to be wonderful and perfect
Yeah,
and easy.
yeah, exactly.
Because that, if you say life's a walk in the park and it's all amazing, it's better to say, I turn adversity into my advantage. Yeah.
I say that all the time. Yeah. No, it's exactly. It's people, and that's what athletes do. They rehearse. Okay, when things aren't going my way, how am I going to
Yeah, of
respond?
course.
Not rehearsing. Everything's going to go perfect. No
Of course.
adversity, right? Because then when
Yeah.
adversity happens, they didn't rehearse
Yeah.
how to handle it. The E is for exercise, and this is not where you have to go to the gym in the morning. So you've only got 15 minutes. You're going to move your body for a couple of minutes. That's it. Maybe it's yoga, stretching, jumping jacks, going for a walk if the weather is nice. Being a rebounder.
Mini trampoline is amazing.
Yes, yeah.
And you can also say more affirmations as you jump because it goes straight into the brain.
Yeah, and you can sync all the savers. People will, well, after E is R, it's reading.
Yeah.
And that could be an audiobook. So you could literally listen to the audiobook while you're jumping on the rebounder, right? Or you could read, physical book. And the final of the savers is scribing. And there's two primary techniques that I teach for scribing, very simple. Number one, write down what you're grateful for. The difference is, don't move on after that. Most people practice what I call intellectual gratitude, which is where if I were to say, what are you grateful for? People think, they go, my house, my kids, my spouse, right? It's check, check, check. And they're not bringing it from their mind to their nervous system.
Yeah.
So when I write down something I'm grateful for, I usually put my hand on my heart or in prayer position, and I just feel, I cultivate that state of gratitude for just a few minutes or 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So I deeply feel it, let it, fill my nervous system. The second thing I write down is, what's the number one thing that I'm committed to doing today to make the biggest progress in my whatever areas of my life are important, and all of these sequence. So I've just affirmed what I'm committed to. Now I visualize myself doing today what I need to do to follow through with what I affirmed. Now I'm reading a book that's aligned with that, so it's helping me, giving me new ideas. Now I'm journaling what it is that I'm committed to doing in writing, so it's all synchronizing together.
Sure. One of the rules of the mind is whatever you focus on, you get more of.
Yes.
So if you put your arm out for a shot and look at the needle, it might hurt. If you read your phone, you don't really notice it. But you see, what you're doing is very clever. You're narrowing down your brain and focusing. First thing, and that's where you're going to go all day because you focused on it.
Yeah.
So whatever we focus on, we move towards and we get more of. And the other thing I love, what you're telling me, is that the mind can't hold conflicting beliefs. It can't even hold conflicting thoughts. When we go, I want to be fit, but the gym's so boring. I want to be fit, but I couldn't live my life without beer and pizza. Now you're driving your brain in two different directions.
Yes.
I want a baby, but your life's never your own again. I want love, but I wouldn't be able to work on my business. I want a great business, but my relationship would suffer. But what you're doing is keeping the brain in one lane. It doesn't have conflicting thoughts or beliefs because you've narrowed it right down. You are specific. And the brain loves specific. The more specific, the better.
Yeah.
So you're doing all of these things so eloquently, making it so easy, which helps to love. But what would you say to someone that says, I love all of that, but I'm not a morning person?
First thing I always say is join the club, which is I wasn't a morning person when I started the Miracle Morning. And the only reason I did it is because I was more committed to changing my life than I was to hanging on to the excuse that says I'm not a morning person.
Yeah.
But the second thing is, Miracle Morning, it's global. It's a movement worldwide, and we survey our global community usually at least a few times a year. And one of the questions in the survey, almost every survey, is, before you read the Miracle Morning, were you a morning person, or did you ever think you could become one? And it's across the board over the last 17 years, 72% of people say they never thought they could become a morning person before they read the book.
And
so when I wrote it, it was very much, that was actually my biggest fear, is how am I going to convince people to overcome a lifetime of this belief that says I'm not a morning person? And I think because that was so I was so nervous about it, the book really holds someone's hand psychologically through that process, and then sets them up to make it really easy to get started. Just 10 minutes earlier, not an hour.
Yeah. So you be it and then you become it.
Yeah.
I was always a night person. Now I'm often up at 5, 6. I love being up early before everyone else. I love the birds singing. But you can choose what to be.
Yeah.
Because, of course, one the other thing about the brain is it likes what is familiar. The brain wants what it already knows and is familiar and comfortable. That's a fact. But here's another fact. You can make anything familiar. And you can go from a night person to a morning person. And if you do it just enough, you start to think, oh, I actually prefer it.
Yeah.
And now it's familiar.
Well, it goes back to what you affirm repeatedly becomes your reality. Because like you said, the brain likes what it's familiar with. Well, when you read something every single day, I'm committed to this.
Yes.
Here's why. Here's what I'm going to do. You become acclimated to that new perspective and it becomes your reality.
I mean, if you take sugar out of your coffee, it tastes horrible for 6 weeks. And you go, I can't believe I drank that. So I used to drink Diet Coke. And now I cannot imagine I ever drank that stuff. I find it so disgusting. But I used to love it.
Yeah.
And it was so familiar. When I stopped having it, I missed it. And then after a while, I thought I could never, ever drink that stuff again, ever. Because what was familiar became unfamiliar. What was unfamiliar, drinking water, became familiar.
Yeah, it's such an important point. And like say, for me, I used to drink sweet tea. Now I drink unsweetened tea.
Yeah.
And to your point, at first, for the first few weeks or whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, I missed the sugar. And now I don't want any sugar in my tea.
And every day we get to choose to make good stuff familiar and bad stuff unfamiliar, especially with affirmations. And choosing that will change your life.
Yeah.
And if you look at people who've made it, just like you have these habits of savers, there are habits of success. Most people who've made it were not sprinkled with habits of success fairy dust. They had to choose these habits, doing what they don't want to do, doing it first, taking action in the direction of their goals, never taking no for an answer, and bouncing back. So just like savers, people who make it and leave clues. And if you can think, well, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
You absolutely can.
That's one of my favorite affirmations, and it doesn't follow the formula, is I am just as worthy, deserving, and capable of everything I want in my life as any other person on earth. Because that fundamental belief of there's nothing another person, anything another person has done to me is evidence of what's possible for all of us.
But also behind that, you're willing to do what it takes as well. You must be willing to action it too.
Yes.
So here's a question. What rule above all others made you the person sitting in this chair? If you had to look back at your life, what rule would you say made you the Hal of today as opposed to the Hal of 20 years ago?
It was do the right thing, not the easy thing. I learned that when I was 19 years old. I started a career in sales, selling Cutco cutlery, kitchen knives. And my mentor taught me that on, I think, day one. And he said, in life, in every moment to moment, we always have a choice between doing the right thing, which would be the thing that helps us become the best version of ourselves, moves us toward our goals, or the easy thing, which is anything but. Whether it's choosing, hey, which food should I eat? The right thing would be the food that fuels my body and my health and longevity. The easy thing would be this really yummy tasting, fast junk food, right? And when the alarm goes off in the morning, the right thing would be get out of bed, do my miracle morning, get set for the day. The easy thing, I'm just going to lay here a little longer. And so ingraining that from 19 years old on, have applied it to everything I do.
So when you're taking your journey, you take the right path, not the easy path. There's do you ever see that movie, Scent of a Woman?
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about the Parker, he took the easy road and it was a big mistake. And all his Marines took the right road, but he took the easy road.
Yeah.
And he regretted it so much.
Yeah, that's it.
So when you were 20, driving home, you were hit at 70 miles an hour. It was not your fault. You almost died.
Yeah.
You were told you wouldn't walk again. You were looking at life in a wheelchair. Tell me about that, some of the rules, because this is what happened, but it's not what happened. It's you walked in 3 weeks. Is that right?
I did. And I love that you ask what the rules are because it was literally called the 5-minute rule. Let me explain. So I'm in the car accident, break 11 bones. I'm unconscious for all of this. My body.
Had brain damage too.
I had permanent brain damage.
You'd never know.
Yeah. Oh, hang out with me long enough, you'll see. My kids will vouch for the brain damage. They always say, Dad's got brain damage. They roll their eyes. But so I was unconscious. Thank God, the human body, I believe it was just in so much pain that I was in a coma immediately. And 6 days later, I came out of the coma and I'm faced with this unimaginable reality that I'm never going to walk again. I have 11 broken bones, my leg broken in half, my arm broken in half, my pelvis broken 3 places, and so on. And thank God I had learned something called the 5-minute rule in my Cutco sales training. The 5-minute rule says it's okay to be negative when something goes wrong, but not for more than 5 minutes.
I like that.
And we were literally taught in training, set your timer on your phone for 5 minutes when you find and it was in the context of
Yeah.
no sale, no show, canceled
you
order.
can moan and bitch for 5 minutes.
For 5
that's
minutes.
It.
And then when the timer goes off, you say 3 very liberating words. Can't change it. And it's a reminder, I can't change what happened 5 minutes ago. So right now I have that fork in the road choice. I can either continue to resist reality and wish it didn't happen and be upset over it, which serves me not at all, or I can accept reality, focus 100% of my energy on what is in my control and move toward that. And so I had practiced that 5-minute rule for a year and a half in little, traffic, work, you name it, someone saying something that hurt my feelings, giving myself 5 minutes. So I go, oh, this is much more serious than anything I've ever applied the 5-minute rule to. But the principle is the same. I can't change that I was in a car accident. I can't change that I broke 11 bones. I can't change that I have brain damage. And if the doctors are right and I am in a wheelchair the rest of my life, then I can't change that. But I can choose to be the most at peace, happiest, grateful person that anyone's ever seen in a wheelchair. And that's what I told the doctors. It's what I told my parents. If I'm in a wheelchair the rest of my life, I will be the most grateful person you've ever seen in a wheelchair. I said, but I'm not accepting that as my only option. I've accepted it as a possibility that I'm totally at peace with it, so it has no control over me. I'm not in fear of it. I'm at peace with that. But because I'm at peace with it, now all my energy is freed up to focus on healing and focus on what I want, which is to walk again, what I require.
Yeah, what do you require? Require is very, the brain loves it. You require it, I'm going to help you get it. You want it, well, keep wanting.
Yeah. It's like the bridge to commitment, right? So I love that. Yeah.
You said something interesting, because as a therapist, I see this thing a lot. I can't accept it and I can't change it. It might go like this. I hate where I live and we can't move. I hate being a stay-at-home mum, but I got to be with the kids. So when you can't accept it and you can't change it, you're stuck. So you have a choice. Can I accept it? And I'm going to stay home with my kids for 3 years. It's the most important years. And then I will go back. So it's only 3 years. Or can I change it? Maybe I'll get a part-time job. Maybe I'll work in the evenings when the kids are asleep. When I became a therapist, because it was such a gift. I worked around my daughter sleeping. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
But when you can't accept it, it's like a game of snakes and ladders. Every time you go somewhere, you're just stuck. So always say, okay, if I can't accept it, can I change it? If I can't change it, can I accept, even if it's just for now?
Yeah.
So you accepted it for the moment, but also began to change it. You did both.
Yeah, it was, and that to me is it's keeping both of those possibilities where you accept what you can't change.
Yeah.
And it is really, it is important to understand the distinction between, wait, so I can't change it like I'm disempowered? It goes, no, you can't change this moment is this moment.
Yeah.
But you can work toward changing everything else. So it's the serenity prayer, right?
Yeah.
God grant me the wisdom to know the difference between what I can and can't change.
And also I call it PPP. If something's got to get you, it's got to be permanent, it's got to be personal, got to be pervasive. And for you, it wasn't permanent.
Yeah.
It wasn't even personal. Didn't do it to yourself, and it wasn't pervasive, even though you might say, well, it is, but when you're sleeping, it's not going on.
Yeah.
When you're not in pain, it's not going on. Because I got run over 3 years ago, nothing like what you went through. And I was told, well, you won't be able to walk for 6 months. And I was so bored after 2 weeks. You'll never wear heels again, because I got my heels on today.
Let's go.
But I can't stand in them. I'm not just putting them on. And I was told you'll have one leg shorter than the other and probably have a permanent limp and arthritis. And rather, I thought, I'm not going to let any of that in. My husband just bought me these Chanel shoes. He said, God, I got mugged in that shop. He didn't quite understand what Chanel was. He said, I'm going to get you some nice shoes. He went in there, came out, looked a bit ashen. But he bought me these Chanel shoes. I thought, I can't not wear them. And I remember them coming in and saying, we've got some orthopedic footwear. I said, don't even show it to me. I will never wear orthopedic footwear.
Sure.
If you think I'll wear that, you don't know me. So I don't want to look at it, and I will not be measured, because I wouldn't let it in. And for human beings, what you let in and don't let in defines you. What you choose to let in and choose not. And I was looking at a video of you this morning, reading it, I will live for my son, I will live for myself. So you would not let in a death sentence. And it's so important to go, hey, what am I going to let in and not let in? And who gets to choose it? Which is you.
Yeah.
So now you're in hospital, you've been given a terrible diagnosis in a wheelchair. What did you do to walk in 3 weeks when you were told you would never walk?
first of all, I never imagined it would be that fast.
So you didn't, okay.
I had hope and optimism and faith that it was possible. That's an important part about faith, I think, is that you're maintaining faith in the possibility. A lot of people, they think that if it's not guaranteed, they can't maintain faith in it. It's only if I know for sure that it's an outcome that's guaranteed can I maintain faith. And that's what faith is. It's faith in the possibility.
Sure.
And we can all maintain faith in a possibility.
Well, how do you cross the road on a city street? How do you drive to the door? Faith, you never think I'm going to get run over.
Yeah.
Better do all my laundry. So before we go on a plane, look would tidy up their house and wash all their clothes.
So for
in
me,
case they die. But they never do that when they're going to the store.
Absolutely.
Because they have faith. We just don't think about it. And of course, the scariest part of a plane ride is the cab drive to the airport. But the faith. So you had faith.
I had
in
faith
yourself.
in the possibility, faith in myself, faith in God, faith in the co-creation and the healing. And I visualized walking again. I prayed about it. I meditated on it. My energy was, and I just talked about this is, I'm going to walk. And the doctors thought I was in denial.
Of course.
They called my parents in and actually sat them down and said, we're concerned that Hal's either delusional or in denial because he's always telling us he's going to walk again. He's always smiling and laughing and joking. This was before I took my first step. And they go, that's not normal for a 20-year-old young man that's being told he's never going to walk again. We think Hal's losing it because he's so overwhelmed by his reality. And it was not that I was losing it. I had just was at peace with it.
Well, actually, you had a conviction and not a fleeting thought.
Sure.
And that's so important. A fleeting thought is maybe I'll walk, I'll try to walk. A conviction is I'm doing it, I'm on it. It's up to me and only me. And I love that. You didn't let in bad stuff. And you see, to be successful, you've got to do 3 things really well. One of them is visualize what you want, but really visualize as if it's already happened. Have vision boards, put photos of it on your phone and keep looking at it. And also write over your vision, not just what you see. Write pictures, write statements. Like we all know the story of Chicken Soup for the Soul, where he wrote #1 bestseller.
Yeah.
He wrote it everywhere and it became it. So visualize what you want, but use all your senses. What does it look like, feel like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? And then massively use positive self-talk. I'm walking, my legs are strong. And while you're maximizing the positive, you've got to minimize the negative. This is a disaster. Woe is me. I'll never walk again. Minimize the negative, maximize the positive and visual. If you combine those 3 and do it really well, you can have almost anything.
And what I was going to say is that that's the beauty of the Miracle Morning.
Of course, because that's exactly what you're doing.
Because you now have a daily structure that ensures that you do this every day. Because if someone's listening to you and they go, Marissa's right, I should do that.
But it seems like such
But you don't have a daily structure. You're going to forget this in a few days and you're not right. But if you have in your affirmations what you just said,
and that's your genius, because you've given the audience you've given them such value, you've given them the structure. And that is a genius. And they say, I could do that. I'll do it later. And that's also, I'll do it after I finish work. And then the phone goes, the baby cries, something happens. But doing it first means that you can never put it off and think, life caught up with me.
You're doing it before the rest of the world can steal your attention. And get you off for the day. And most people, like I said, they wake up, they grab for their phone, they surrender their attention, and now they're in a state of stress and reactivity all day long.
So you walked again. Everything is great. And then how many years later were you diagnosed? I know you were filming.
It was 17 years later.
You were filming, 17 years later, you were filming Miracle Morning.
The Miracle Morning documentary, which features Mel Robbins and Robin Sharma and people I've admired and their morning routines. And I woke up struggling to breathe one night. And it took 11 days of having my lung drained every other day of fluid to figure out, they couldn't, in 3 different hospitals, to figure out what was wrong with me. And it was a very rare, aggressive form of cancer called acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And it has a 30% survival rate. So there was a 70% chance that I was going to die. And the day that I was diagnosed, they told me the chemotherapy regimen that we have to give for you is the most intense chemotherapy regimen that there is. It's 800 hours of chemotherapy over 8 months. It's 100 hours essentially every 3 weeks, so it's 7 months, I think. And
So that's 25 hours a week. Oh no, 35 hours a week. Almost 33 hours a week.
it's 100 hours
Over
every
3
5
weeks.
days, every 5
Oh,
days. And then then your
worse.
body, you rest for 3 weeks
Yeah.
so that you don't die and you can handle another 100 hours. So it's
Wow.
100 hours over 5 days every 3 weeks
Gosh.
over the course of 7 or 8 months.
20 hours a day. Wow.
Yeah. And so I reached out to some of the best holistic oncologists. I wanted a second opinion, and I thought I want to do this naturally. I had looked into the cancer industry many years before, and thought if I ever get cancer, I'm going to let my body heal itself. And two of the best holistic oncologists in America said, Hal, unfortunately, you don't have the choice to do this naturally because your organs are failing. They found that my
you didn't
lung,
have time.
hearts, and kidneys were all failing. And they gave me 1 week to live if I didn't start chemo. And I thought, God, I don't want to poison my body with chemo because the chemo gives you 30% survival.
I know.
So I'm going, if I do the chemo, most likely I'm going to die. So when I decided that the only option I had was to do chemo, I decided that I would do every other holistic practice known to man. I would research, figure it out. And so I took 70 supplements a day. I did 3 coffee enemas a week. I did lymphatic massage, ozone sauna, red light therapy, grounding every day, sun gazing every day. And not to mention my miracle morning. The savers practices were literally focused on saving my life at that point.
So you were taking massive action every day. In fact, one of my clients had a very similar story, and she said, I love the chemo. The chemo is my friend. She never called it poison.
Yeah.
She said, it's keeping me alive. I'm going to live. And she's done so incredibly well. But I love the fact that people they cry when they see that red stuff going into their veins. She said, I sang. I sang to them. I thought, this is wonderful. My body likes it. My body wants it. Because your psychology talks to your biology every single day.
I believe that, yeah.
Every day your psychology. Well, we know that. If I look at something sad, my eyes fill up with tears. There might be a cat on a video.
Yeah.
If I think about food, my stomach rumbles. If I think about something embarrassing, I might go red.
Yeah. If you have a nightmare, you wake up sweating as if you were really being chased by a man with a knife.
Yeah, watch a terrifying film at night. My daughter said, if ever you're alone, watch a scary movie. Don't feel alone anymore. You think, oh, someone's there.
Yeah.
But if you watch a brutal surgery, you think, oh, I can't look at this. So we know that every day our mind makes our thoughts real, good or bad, limiting or beneficial, useful or helpful. Our mind makes our thoughts real. That's its job. And our job is to think better thoughts. So you're going through cancer and you are determined to live.
Yeah.
I love that.
I called the director of, you mentioned the Miracle Morning documentary that we were filming. We were a couple of years in, and I called our director and I said, and he's a friend of mine. I said, Nick, you'll never believe this. I'm in the hospital. I have cancer. I start chemo tomorrow. The movie is on hold. And we talked for a little while, and he kind of consoled me as a friend. And then he said, Hal, I don't know how to say this without, it's a weird time, but he said, this is the movie now.
Of course it's
We were
the
filming you sharing the Miracle Morning, other people's routine, and now you got cancer. Like, I want to film you beating cancer because that will inspire even more people. And I said, let me talk to my wife. We weren't planning on filming the scariest time in our lives. But when you watch the documentary, and it's free on YouTube, anybody can watch it. When you watch the movie, it's at like the 57-minute mark after you've seen the Mel Robbins and all these people's routines, and I'm going around the world sharing the Miracle Morning. And then it's just a selfie video of me to my friends going, hey guys, please pray for me. I'm in the hospital. They don't know what's wrong with me. My heart, my lungs, and the last 30 minutes of the movie is me using my Miracle Morning, reading books on beating cancer, creating affirmations around it, visualizing myself completely healed, exercising, doing exercises that move the lymph throughout the body, right? Like, it was all 6 practices were focused on, just like in 2008, they were focused on doubling my income. That's why I created the Miracle Morning.
Of course.
Well, now the goal is different.
For business,
exactly,
for a relationship.
And that's what I say about the savers is they accelerate and amplify your ability to achieve a goal. That's really, they're not just so you have a good morning. That's a byproduct, but it's really like, what's your number one goal? Well, if it's your marriage, now you're reading a book on how to transform your marriage. You're reciting affirmations,
even
visualizing
having a great body. If that's what you want, you can do that too.
All of it, yeah.
So I watched it. Can I give you a suggestion?
Yes.
It wouldn't upset you.
No, never.
I mean, everything you do I love, but I noticed you said my cancer several times.
Yes.
And one of the rules of the mind is if you prefix something with my, you own it. People say, this is my house. Do you like my new trainers? These are my kids. It's a proud word. It's mine.
Yeah.
Go out to the pool and take someone's sunbed. They go, that's my sunbed. It's got my towel on it. But when you call my cancer, my headaches, my diabetes, my greed, it's very hard to let it go because the brain, that's an ownership word.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to say the from now on.
The cancer.
Because it's not yours.
Yeah.
You don't even want it.
Yeah, the cancer.
I also had cancer twice. People will say, how's your cancer? I go, well, it's not mine.
I love it.
How's your cancer? And someone said, are you in a cancer survivor? I said, no, because I don't have it. It came and it went, and I never say,
Never take ownership of it.
No, none of that.
I love that.
But I called it can, because I thought the first word of cancer is can. I'm calling it I can.
Yeah.
And rather like you, when I was told I had cancer, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm a single parent.
Yeah.
I have a kid. I'm not leaving her. And I was determined. Again, it wasn't a fleeting thought. It was a fixed belief.
It was a conviction, as you said earlier.
Fixed belief. I'm staying here. I'll do whatever it takes.
When I had cancer, I read a book by Dr. Bernie Siegel, who is a famed
loved him.
cancer surgeon,
Loved
right?
Bernie.
And he said that the
Love
one
Medicine and Miracles.
that was the book, Love Medicine and
Amazing.
Miracles. That was he said the one thing that his patients that survived had in common was a conviction. That was it.
Yeah.
They had decided they were going to beat it, even if their cancer odds were not good.
Yeah.
And he saw on the other side people who
just
died of
accepted it.
cancer because they just go, oh, this was, my mother had cancer, my grandmother, I knew I was going to get cancer.
Of course.
And they gave up, and they should have beat it, but their mind was, there was no, the conviction was really the opposite, that they were going to die.
In fact, he said, if you want to survive any illness, have difficult, cantankerous patient written on your nose. What's that for? Why am I doing that? What are the side effects? People who are difficult and question everything survive.
I love it. That was definitely me, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Again, it's that. I mean, I know for some people they want to live against all odds and they don't, so we can't say this for everyone. But for me and for you, I knew I was going nowhere. I would have done whatever it took.
Yeah.
I did the very difficult diet and the breathing, but mostly I visualized. I said every day, my body is a wellness-making machine.
Yes.
It does wellness, only wellness, always wellness. This is a blip, and I will bounce back. Because one of the keys to successful people is they bounce back from anything. I mean, look at Martha Stewart, went to jail, bounced back.
I similarly, by the way, said my body is a miraculous organism capable of healing itself, and it will heal itself from this cancer.
And for the viewers listening, the mind likes very specific words. It also likes military-type language. Saying every day and every day I'm getting better and better is what I call nothing. What are you better at? Skiving off work, getting headaches, eating too much cake?
I love it.
So you got to find something specific in the present tense. The mind doesn't future pace at all. When you say next year I'll be better, it doesn't understand. And the words must be super descriptive. So tell me yours again. My body.
My body is a miraculous organism capable of healing itself, and it will heal itself from this cancer.
So you see, very specific, very directive, and in the present tense. My body is a wellness-making machine. Specific, clear, no room for misinterpretation, and in the present tense.
Let me share one other, so that the 3-step affirmation formula that I shared earlier, I'll share with you the cancer, when I had cancer, how I applied it. So step 1, affirming what you're committed to. I am committed to beating cancer and living to be 100 plus years old alongside Ursula and the kids. No matter what, there is no other option. That was step 1.
I love that.
And when I had fear, which I had fear, like I found out that one of my heroes, one of my mentors, Wayne Dyer, died of leukemia.
He did.
And I had leukemia, and I thought, when I found that out, it made me scared, because I thought, well, wait a minute, Wayne is very evolved. All the things that I do,
I love
I
Wayne.
learned many of them from him. If he died from leukemia, how am I going to beat it? And then I thought, well, maybe he was ready, who knows? But that created fear. So when I read that affirmation, I'd feel the fear, and I'd go, wait a minute, that's not serving me. I am committed to beating cancer and living to be 100 plus years old alongside Ursula and the kids, no matter what, there's no other option. Step 2 was the why. And I have 5 bullet points under, this was in writing, underneath why I was committed. For my wife, Ursula, because I promised her forever and a day. For my mom and dad, because they had already lost a child. My sister died. And they didn't deserve to lose another one.
Of course.
For my kids, because I want to watch them grow up. I'm committed to watching them grow up. For myself, because I deserve to live a long, healthy, happy life. and for humanity, because the people that are maybe battling cancer themselves and may not have been blessed with the knowledge and resources that I have, it's my responsibility to overcome this so I can help them on their journey. Those 5 bullet points, those 5 reasons, that was the fuel where there were times where I was so sick from chemo and I had 105-degree fever and I just wanted to die. I was ready to, I wanted to give up. I couldn't handle it. Those affirmations that were on my bedside table, they were on my phone. I would read them and go, oh yeah, it's not even an option for me to give up.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for not only myself, but for my wife and my kids and my parents.
And humanity.
And humanity, yeah.
Which is a wonderful, I was sort of could never, ever conceive a child. And if I could, by some miracle, do that, I couldn't carry a child to full. If I could, by some weird fluke, pull that off, I'd have a child that wasn't well, that wasn't healthy. And I thought, well, I will do that. But actually, I got pregnant immediately. My baby was perfect. And when she was born, I thought, I must write about this because it's so important what you let in.
Yeah.
I didn't let that in. And I wrote a book called Trying to Get Pregnant and Succeeding. And so many hundreds of people have had babies from that book. Because I thought, this, I could tell myself. But of course, here's something interesting. If you say I'm trying to get pregnant, trying is a misdirect. It always implies failure.
Yeah.
Falling pregnant, well, the brain hates falling. The word falling is one of the only fears. We're born with the fear of falling. We're all born with that fear, which is why little babies free fall like that when you pick them up. And pregnant, well, that doesn't ever mean you'll have a baby. You can have 7 pregnancies and never have a child. So I'm trying to fall pregnant. You might as well say to your brain, peaches, bananas, and oat milk. It doesn't know what even that means.
Love it.
I'm conceiving and carrying a perfect, healthy, robust baby.
I love how intentional you are with language.
Very
Marisa.
intentional. It's so important. Your words shape your reality. Yeah. I love this expression, your words are the thread on which you string your every experience. Isn't that beautiful?
I love that.
So I said, I'm making a perfect baby, carrying a perfect baby, delivering a perfect baby, raising this perfect baby. That perfect baby is now just about to have a second perfect baby.
Amazing.
And they wouldn't be here. My daughter, my gorgeous grandson, and the new one who's just about to arrive wouldn't be here if I let that in.
Yeah.
But I didn't let it in. I said, not letting that in. My body will make a baby. And it's very important, whether you have cancer or irritable bowel or tension, headaches or allergies or anything at all, to decide, what are you letting in? Oh, I've got my allergies. I've got my headaches.
Yeah.
I've got my hay fever. To talk to your body. Remember, your psychology talks to your biology. Have the conversation. Because rather like you, I knew when I had that baby, I could help thousands of women have babies, and men too, of course, because I wrote that book and I explained that what makes you pregnant starts here. And here's a word, unexplained infertility. What does that word tell you? We can't explain it. Your eggs are great, your husband's sperm's fantastic, your womb's great. It's unexplained because it's here.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I love the fact that you gave people great hope, because there's no such thing as false hope. There's only hope. It's never false. Your hope wasn't false. You walked again. You survived a very aggressive cancer, and you passed it on. You helped humanity, which is such a gift.
Yeah, The Miracle Morning for Cancer is a book that I haven't written yet, but it's on my list.
You must write that. Because a lot of people say, I remember when I had cancer, I read a book and I made thought, oh, look, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can take out parabens from all my shampoo and conditioner. I can move the EMFs out of my house, or out of my bedroom anyway. Yeah. I can take some supplements. I can change my diet. So I went from being disempowered to empowered almost immediately because I had some information. And I think you have so much information to pass on. Tell me about the light, the morning light, why you do that.
The sun gazing?
Yes, the sun gazing.
It was just one. I don't even remember where
Because the light hits the retina of your eye and it does something. Could you tell the audience what it does?
I honestly don't remember. It's been 10 years since I learned about it. Although I did it yesterday morning here in Corfu. Yeah, I'll tell you, here's what, this is interesting. So I don't remember the scientific explanation because again, I haven't read about it for 10 years. But I went and had my cells looked at under a microscope by a holistic practitioner. And she showed me, here is what a healthy cell is supposed to look like. And it was this perfect circle. And she said, here's what your cells look like. And they were all discombobulated. And then I read about sun gazing. And I went and looked at the sun the first morning. And you have to do this, by the way, very important.
Yeah.
You can't wait until it's too high in the sky or it will burn your retina.
Course, yeah.
It has to be the first like 30 minutes of just coming up. I learned that the hard way also one morning at 11 a.m. when I looked at the sun, and then I saw the sun for the next week, and I thought it was permanent, and thankfully it wasn't. But here's what happened. I look at the sun the first time, and as you're staring at it, it takes a minute to come into focus. And I go, oh, it looks like the perfect cell that she showed me under that microscope. So every morning when I would sun gaze, I would say, this is what every cell in my body
looks like.
It looks like. Every cell is perfectly round and healed from cancer.
And there's
so
that
it became
very
part of the
specific
visualization.
language again, very specific, very clear, and very directional.
Yeah.
So you are using the sun coming up to imprint upon your cells. You look like that.
Yes, that's
You're
it.
perfect, perfectly formed. You're the right shape, the right size, the right texture. And that's very important. I have something called command therapy, where you command the body to get well. And we use that language. Every cell is the right shape, the right size, the right texture, the right temperature, the right color. And so if someone had a fatty liver, you could say, well, let's imagine it all pink and plump and healthy and smooth and glossy. Because the more you can be specific, or maybe you have, if a client had eczema or contact dermatitis, you could imagine, what's the skin like here? It's smooth and perfect and soft and dewy. Imagine your face is like that, your complexion. Because it's not woo, it's actually quantum physics, the most reliable science in the world. Says, I'm energy, you're energy, and you can change your life by changing your energy, how you vibrate. And when you looked at the sun, you were not vibrating from fear, you were vibrating from confidence. My cells look like that. It's clear, it's commanding, it's powerful, and the brain gets it. If you go, my cells are okay, not bad, it doesn't know what you're talking about. If you say they are perfect, perfect shape, perfect size, perfect color, it makes it very clear.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about another direction, something else you've done, which is so impressive. I mean, surviving cancer, surviving your accident are all impressive, but here's something. More than 80% of people would love to write a book.
Yeah.
About 85% of people, that's their dream.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people actually finish a manuscript? Do you know how many?
Less than 3%?
About 3% finish a manuscript. Do you know how the percentage of people actually get their book published?
Only because you told me at breakfast this morning, 0.1.
0.1%. So you and I are in the 0.1%. So, and then people say, oh, well, but writer, not only that, you self-published. So you did something extraordinary. You wrote a book.
Yeah.
You got it self-published. Here's something even more extraordinary. A publisher picked it up and published it, which doesn't happen very often with self-published books. They can sell very well. You wrote a book, you got it published, and then it was picked up by mainstream publishers. You've sold it in 37 languages. In how many countries?
Over 100.
And you've sold 3 million copies.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what percentage that makes you, but it's tiny. But 85% of us who want to write a book, give them some advice. How did you go from where you were to formulate a book, writing it, and publishing it yourself? Tell me the whole story, because so many just want to write a book. It's my dream, or I am writing it, but it's kind of on the computer in a drawer.
Where I would start, and where I did start, is I put it into my affirmations formula, right? So I am committed to writing a book, no matter what. There's no other option.
It was all in the present tense. You say, well, not one day or next year. I am writing a book.
And then it was the why. I'm doing this because I believe it is my God-given, because the Miracle Morning changed my life, and I believe it's my God-given responsibility to help other people by sharing it with them. So that was my why.
Yeah.
In order to do this, I will commit to sitting down every morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and writing whether I feel like it or not. That was it.
So you had purpose, you had structure, you had motivation, you had unshakable conviction that you were doing it.
And because my structure of that Miracle Morning, I was reading it every single day. And then but here's the thing. I mentioned how all the savers support each other. I bought a book called If You Can Talk, You Can Write. And that, because I was like, I'm not a writer. That was my limiting belief. I'm not a writer. I'm like, no, that's not going to help me. I am a writer. I'm committed to being a writer. But I bought this book called If You Can Talk, You Can Write. And that helped me get over that writer's block and just start talking it, and you can talk it into a voice recorder. And then now with technology, this didn't, I don't know if it existed back then, but you could have it now transcribed. You can talk into a voice recorder while you're walking. And when you're walking and you're moving your body, you're getting blood and oxygen to your brain. So you have much clearer thinking and new ideas, and so that's one way to do it. Of course, there's AI now.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 minute? Because you said something. I don't think you realized how powerful it was. You said, I am a writer. So the words that follow I am will follow you your entire life. The words that go after I am are going to go after you. When you go, I'm a writer, I'm a survivor, I'm an amazing parent, I'm a beautiful person, I am smart. I work in the schools and with kids. We have to go, I'm smart, I am lovable, I am interesting, I am fun, I am nice. So you used to go, I'm a bit boring, I'm not very smart, I'm stuck, I'm unmotivated. You said, I am a writer. The minute you said I am and finished it, you were a writer, because you told your brain, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And the strongest force in us is that we act in a way that matches how we define ourselves. The strongest force in humanity, you must act in a way that lines up with how you define you. I'm not good with people, I'm terrible at confrontation, or I am a writer. So you said it.
Well, and if you caught it, I only said it because my natural belief was I'm not a writer.
Yeah, but you flipped it.
So I had to flip it.
You flipped it.
I want people to understand that, though.
Yeah, I am.
And like when I was, it took me 3 years to write the book. I am a slow writer.
Take me back to that. So you were doing 4 hours a day?
No, 1 hour a day, from 6 a.m. to 7.
6 a.m. to 7 every day.
5 to 7 days a week, depending.
And you never failed that. I thought, I'm not doing it.
I mean, there were days for sure. I wasn't perfect. But
you see, life doesn't require perfection. It requires direction. Your mind does not want perfection. It wants direction. I'm a writer. Of course you can have it. If you can have a week off, but you're still a writer.
Yeah.
Because you've given it definition.
And I'm committed to writing this book no matter what.
So
it took
3 years later.
I was 2.5 years into it, and I was about halfway done for the book.
Right.
For the book. And this was 2012, in probably March.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, it hits me, wait, this year, there's going to be the date 12/12/12.
Of course.
December 12th, 2012. And I thought, what a date to publish the book.
What a date.
So I thought, I'm going to announce that that's my publish date, and then I'm going to force the commitment.
Yeah.
And so I announced it. Hey, everybody, the miracle morning that I've been writing for 2.5 years, it's finally going to publish on 12/12/12. That way, I have brain damage. I thought, I will never forget that date.
And do you know what you did when you did that? Do you know you held yourself accountable? Your chance of success goes up by 75%. If you make yourself, or have an accountability buddy, if you say, I'm doing it on that day, it spurs, you have to do it.
The date was the first form of accountability. I love that you said that, because accountability is, to me, it's huge. It's
to everyone, it's huge.
It's huge. And we resist it. I believe we resist accountability because it was forced upon us growing up when our brain was developing, and we never asked for our parents to hold us accountable to take a bath or eat our vegetables or go to school. And so then when we turn 18 and it's like, I'm never going to have accountability again. And it's a downward spiral into settling for less than we want.
So the 12th of the 12th of the 12th is coming up.
So I announced it. And then to take accountability to another step, right? The first step was, give me a date. Okay, now I've got a deadline.
You've got a deadline.
But I need consistent weekly accountability. So I hired a coach.
Good.
So I hired a coach every week, and they were specifically a writing coach. So every week we would get on the call. They would say, okay, in order to be on track, you need to write this many words a day, this many pages this week. And then now I have a very specific accountability deadline for the week, which now informs how I spend the day. And so then every week we'd get on and we'd review it. And if it wasn't for that, it probably would have taken me another 2.5 years, if not never.
So you understood. Yeah.
And so I write 2.5 years to write the first half of the book, 6 months to write the second half of the book, and published it on 12/12.
How did you get it published, though? People are saying, well, how did you do that? Okay, I understand the writing. You sit down and you write. My agent calls it butt on seat. That's how you write. I'm actually different. I would write for 12 or 14 hours a day. I would wake up and say, writing is compelling.
There were days where I did that,
It's
yes.
thrilling. It's like having a boyfriend. I can't wait to wake up to it, and I can't wait to come home to it.
Yeah.
And I was on it constantly. But I did actually, at first I found it hard. But when I said compelling, engrossing, thrilling, rewarding, over and over again, exactly, guess what? It became compelling,
That's right.
thrilling, engrossing. So when I finished it, I really missed it. I thought, oh no.
That's why you wrote another book.
Yeah, I've written 8 now. This is my 8th.
Well.
But when I wrote the first one, I didn't think I could ever write another. My agent said, don't be so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Butter on seat, of course you can.
Yeah.
So we know how to write a book. It's discipline, it's self-belief. I've got a message. People need to hear it. It's all those things. But how did you publish it?
So it used to be called Create Space.
Oh, I
but
know, yeah.
erase that because it's no longer called
Yeah.
that. It is Kindle Direct Publishing,
It is, yeah.
which is Amazon's publishing company. And considering Amazon is where something
where I
like
published
70
my
or 80%.
fertility book.
It is.
Yeah.
That's where people buy books anyway. So
My agent said, I don't want a fertility book. It's too niche. But I
yeah.
knew that people needed
needed it.
You
That's
know, one of my clients, she spent £100,000 on IVF. $10 on my book and got
worked?
pregnant straight
Wow.
away. And she said, IVF is a rich woman's game. Who's got £100,000 spare? And it didn't work. But she got my book and she's pregnant with her second child now.
Beautiful.
So she went from $100,000 to 10.
to 10.
Thanks to Kindle, Create Space.
So Kindle Direct Publishing, and they walk, the site walks you through
Yeah, they do.
everything
They do
that you
everything.
do. And I would recommend for almost anyone, unless you have a huge platform where you can go get a $multi-$100,000 advance,
Which is very
self-publish
rare
your
now.
book, which is very rare, especially, and it's more and more rare.
Yeah, the advances are going down, not up.
And I thought back then, self-publishing was still newish back then. And so I thought, if I'm going to be taken seriously, I have to get a traditional publisher. I even hired Linda Sievertson, who reached out the other day to me. But anyway, she to help. She wrote John Assaraf's book proposal that got him $1 million advance for his book.
Wow.
And so I got on a webinar with her, and I thought, I've got to hire this woman. So she writes the book proposal for me. And in the months that she wrote it, as I'm doing more research, I realized, wait, I don't think I want to traditionally publish this book. They take upwards of 88% of my royalties, and they don't promote it. I still have to promote it.
And you take another year to publish it too. So
Another
if
year.
you sent it to them on the 12th before, then it would have come out on the 12th of the 12th, 2013, because it's such an advanced thing with publishers.
So what I did was I decided it was kind of a pipe dream, a Hail Mary. I thought, I'm going to self-publish this. I'm going to work so hard to promote it because I believe in it until I've sold enough copies to where publishers will want to publish me. That was my,
that was your goal.
unknown, but it's just like, I'm like, it just,
And people
maybe it
always
was
say,
intuitive.
have realistic goals.
Yeah.
You see, have big, huge, unrealistic goals, because publishers almost never take a book. They say, oh, you got a book. Can we have a new book?
Yeah.
They don't really want old material, but in your case, they did.
They did. Well, and this is my favorite part of the story. And this, for anybody listening, you can apply this, whether it's to a book or to any goal that you have. Before I published the book, I had already given the Miracle Morning talk online. And so I was getting emails from people saying, I'm doing your savers, doing your Miracle Morning, and it's changing my life. And there was some profound, one woman said, the Miracle Morning saved my marriage. One 19-year-old young man said, the Miracle Morning got me off my depression medication. And which I can't claim that will do that, but that's what he told me. And so my conviction in this could change people's lives, and I'm the person that has to share it. I set a goal to sell 1 million copies the first year the book came out. I had no audience. I wasn't known. I had no social media presence. But and the way that I phrased it to be mission driven was, I'm committed to change 1 million lives one morning at a time.
Okay.
And I went out that first year. I did everything in my power. I got on 152 podcasts, and this was in 2013.
Okay, 152
so there were probably only a few hundred podcasts total. I mean, this was 13 years ago. Every podcast. But I just emailed hundreds of them. I got on 150 podcasts. I gave 36 speeches. I hired a publicist with money I did not have on my credit card to get me on 13 morning talk shows. I did everything to sell 1 million copies. And I fell short, Marisa, of my goal by 987,000 copies.
Okay.
I was short.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah. And I did the math. I go, okay, I sold 13,000 copies, which would probably be okay if my goal was just to do what I could. But when I was measuring it against 1 million, it was dismal failure. And I did the math. I divided, okay, how long is it going to take me at this rate to reach 1 million people? 1 million divided by 13,000 equals, I think it was 77. 77 years, at which time I'll be 110 years old.
Okay.
I was a little bit discouraged,
Of course.
but I remember, and I wrote in my affirmations, I am committed to spending the rest of my life to reach those million people. And I tried again year 2, and I sold 23,000 copies, so a little better, but I'm still, decades off. I tried again year 3, and year 4, and year 5. It took 6 years to finally sell 1 million copies.
She did it.
And here's the lesson that I learned. This is the lesson for everybody, whatever your goals are, whether it's whatever, getting pregnant, you name it.
Making a baby.
Making
You
a
don't say
baby.
getting
Making
pregnant.
Oh, that's right. When you finally get to the point that you've been working so hard for so long, and the only way to get there is unwavering faith and extraordinary effort over an extended period of time. But when you finally get there, you almost never wish it would have happened any sooner. You realize that you wasted so much energy being stressed out and anxious, and why isn't it happening as fast as it should? Because you look back and you go, oh, it had to take that long. I had to meet that person in year 1 that led to that opportunity in year 2, that led to the relationship in year 3, that led, right? And all of that, I couldn't have predicted any of the things that happened. One of which was finding an agent that got the book published in 37 languages, and it became number 1 in Brazil, number 1 in Korea.
How did that happen? By the way, I'm going to tell you an expression. I love it. It says it doesn't matter how long it takes to climb a mountain. When you get to the top, the view is the same for everybody. Whether you sell it in a year or 6 years, you got to the top of the mountain, you got the same view.
I love that.
And you learnt a lot on the way too.
Yeah.
So you've published it. You're selling it. Now I need to hear how it got picked up by a publishing house.
So I'm just doing hundreds of interviews, and it was probably 3 years, it had reached 100,000 copies in sales. And I was invited to an entrepreneurial dinner, and that I did not feel qualified to be at, especially when I got there. We're in this private room in San Diego, in this basement of this winery, and there's John Assaraf. I mentioned that I had hired his gal to write he's sitting there, and I had seen him in The Secret, and so the insecure high school student, even though I'm 29 at this point, 30 years old, I remember my wife texts me, "How's the dinner going?" And I go, I don't know. I don't belong here, sweetheart. Remember that movie, The Secret, we watched? John Assaraf's over here. Well, I meet Mike Koenigs.
I know Mike.
You know Mike?
Yeah, very well.
I had just been at Mike's event.
Mike.
Mike's on a pedestal. I see him on stage. I had paid to go to his event. And our mutual friend, John Lee Dumas, host of Entrepreneur on Fire, introduced me. He said, "Hey, you got to meet. Do you know Hal? He wrote Miracle Morning. It's self-published. It sold like 100,000 copies." So long story short, me and Mike are talking, and he says, "Have you thought about getting your book traditionally published? You can leverage 100,000 sales. You can get an agent and get a publishing deal." I go, "I don't know how to get an agent." He says, "I have the best agent in the world. Her name is Celeste Fine. I'll introduce you to." So she introduces us. She says, "I think let's go meet with New York publishers." We meet with 13 New York publishers, all the big Simon and Schuster people. We get 9 offers. None of them made sense financially because the book was selling upwards of 10,000 copies a month at that point as a self-published book. And I go, if I were to take one of these deals, it doesn't make sense financially.
Doesn't serve you.
So I turned all of them down, and I was like heartbroken. I felt like, I thought this was the next step in I was so optimistic that this was going to be the thing. And Garth Brooks said, some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. My agent came back and said, "Hey, I know you turned down all the domestic rights in the U.S., but our foreign rights agents think this would work really well overseas." I go, "Well, what does that mean?" She said, "You'd keep all of your self-published royalties, and this would just be icing on the cake in all these foreign markets." I go, "Well, then let's go. Let's do it." And all of a sudden we get offer after offer after offer, and they were all very low. And then it just starts taking off in Brazil, number 1 out of every book in the entire country. In fact, I went down there for a book tour, and Tony Robbins, who is, a mentor of mine, a hero of mine, I'm at the book signing.
And also loves Jim Rohn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's probably who introduced me to Jim Rohn, who was his mentor. But, there's Miracle Mornings up there, his book's next to it. And it's like, and so it just starts taking off in all these other countries. And that's actually how we got to 1 million copies. That's the point. I could not have predicted. Never in my wildest dreams. I literally didn't even think of Miracle Morning being published in another country.
Yeah.
Yet I had the vision and the commitment that I was going to sell 1 million copies no matter what.
And you did.
And it happened in ways I could have never predicted. And I think that's how most of our goals happen when we commit to them.
Sure. My book was published in Korea, and this guy wrote, and he said, "I'm in the military." He said, "I want to die. My sergeant gave me your book. now I fly. And I thought, isn't that so lovely that someone in
Yes.
Korea? So I loved that. You know, something people don't understand, and I didn't understand when I wrote my first book, I actually had no idea that the work involved in selling it was harder than writing it. I wrote my first book, it was quite easy. Actually, I wrote it because Wayne Dyer said something. He said, do not die with your music still playing inside of you. And I thought, oh, that sort of made me write my first book. So writing it was easy, but the work involved in selling it was so much more arduous.
Yeah.
But you got to do it.
Yeah, for me, that was actually the part I was excited about because I was really, writing is hard for me.
I was the opposite, but isn't that interesting? I loved the writing, didn't love the work
I'm a
to
speaker.
sell it. Okay,
you know,
me too.
that's my career is speaking, and so getting, you know, and doing a podcast interview like this, right, is just speaking in a different format. But
definitely.
So I actually enjoyed doing the interviews and reaching out and getting rejected, and I'll tell you one little bonus tip. My background was in Cutco sales, I mentioned. And the way that business worked is it was all based on referrals. So every time you would do a demonstration for somebody, you would ask at the end, hey, whether they bought or not, hey, thank you so much for this. Is there anyone else that you know that you think might appreciate these kitchen knives? And as you can see, I don't, you know, there's no pressure, and I could show it to them as well. And the people would write down 10 to 15 of their friends' names and numbers, and I would call them. So when I started getting on podcasts, I thought, you know, I was just cold reaching out. I thought, wait a minute, I'm going to apply my Cutco strategies or skills. And I started, at the end of every podcast, I'd go, how was that for you? And they go, wow, that was great. And I'd say, do you know anyone else, any other podcasters, that this might be a good message for them? And they go, oh yeah, I know a handful of podcasters. I'd go, let me make this super easy for you. I'm going to send you an email with a script that you can copy, paste, edit in your own words, and just send to them to make it so, I want to make it really easy for you. I'll send that. Is that okay? And they
Very
go, sure.
clever.
I would send the email, and then I would say, hey, you could send this out, and then they would send it, and I would then follow up if I didn't hear within a week, a couple times, and that's how I got referred to other, and every podcast then turned into, 1.5 or 2 or 3 from referrals. Yeah.
So people who are wealthy or successful, they create value. You got to think about that. They somehow create value. So look at Hal, the value. If you're ill, he can help you get well. If you want to write a book, look at the value he's giving you, how to write it, how to publish it, how to get a main publisher to take it on. Here's another question, being a speaker. Let's quickly finish with that because people want that. They want to be a speaker. You know, I work in the school system and every kid wants to be a podcaster or a speaker or an influencer. No one wants to be an architect anymore. So becoming a speaker, can we have that story too? Because I think you're really inspiring the audience to go, well, if Hal can do it with no background, you didn't go to Harvard.
No.
You know, you're a self-made person. I love self-made people because they have something called, I'll show you, and I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm very much like that.
Yes.
I mean, my husband's helped me tremendously. We have a business together. But, you know, when I wrote my books, I did it on my own. In fact, my first book got rejected so much. I was actually offered £2,000 for it, and I turned, and the next year I got offered £130,000 to the exact same book.
Wow.
Because I said, no, I'm not giving it. I'm not giving you my life's work for £2,000. I'll publish it myself, and I'll go on tour, because I know Wayne Dyer did that.
Yeah.
He wrote a book and drove around the country going to radio shows and then putting it in bookshops. So I'll do that.
Yeah.
But then the next year I got picked up by Hachette, and they gave me £130,000. So could you
I'm with Hachette too as well.
Yeah,
That's
Hachette's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm now with Stephen Bartlett's Fire Books, but Hachette is lovely. So I know we're running out of time, but I really want to know, what are the rules of becoming a speaker, not just a booked, paid speaker?
Start by getting really good at speaking, right?
How do you do that?
I gave probably hundreds, at least over 100 speeches at Cutco. When I was in Cutco sales, I would speak every week at our team meeting. I'd speak at our division meetings, at our regional meetings, and at our national meetings. So I spoke hundreds of times without ever getting paid for it. Then I joined Toastmasters to learn how to really structure speak and practice every single week. So I joined Toastmasters. Then I paid to join, it was James Malinchek's college speaking boot camp. I went to his event.
That, yeah.
You do.
And you speak at colleges all over America, don't you?
And that's how I started. I started speaking at colleges.
And they don't pay very well, but it's great experience.
Yeah, it was, my first one was I think $1,500, so not bad for an hour talk.
Sure.
And then it went, and then I got, but the highest I could get was like $2,500, $3,500. And I had met someone who was a $10,000 per speech speaker. This was in like the early 2000s, Roger Crawford, and I said, hey, what do I have to do to be, my dream is to be a speaker like you professionally, $10,000 per speaker, I can't even imagine. And he said, you need to quote that fee and keep a straight face and get someone to pay you for it. And so what I did is I wrote The Miracle Morning, and in that book, again, another kind of Hail Mary, my hope, I thought I'm going to use this book and tell stories of me speaking for companies. Now, I didn't mention that I wasn't getting paid. I didn't mention that
Of course not.
they were, well, some of them were Cutco, but I had written in there, and I had spoken for Countrywide Home Loans for like $500, but I used the book to say that, hey, this is The Miracle Morning, how it changed my life, and I've shared it with Countrywide Home Loans. I've shared it with the $200 million company Cutco, and now it helps their entire team, their organization start their day in the most positive, proactive way. So they're all showing up to work at their best. And all of a sudden, I start getting
Because you
email
amplified
after
yourself.
And
you
yeah, and I didn't,
amplified your story.
I did, and I shared it. And so now I started getting emails, and my entire speaking career for the last decade plus, I've never marketed myself at all. The Miracle Morning book does the marketing, and when a CEO reads it, they go, we've got to bring this in to teach our people.
You have marketed yourself, because
I did.
when you tell a story, I'm sure you know, when you tell a story, you get onto the person reading its brainwave, and the reader gets onto your brainwave. So we used to sit around the campfire. But when you tell a story in a book or on stage, you are on your audience's brainwave.
Yeah.
And they're on yours. And that is the best marketing you could ever do.
It's a great point. And I think back to, I did market when I was doing the college speaking. Two things that I did. One is when I got my first college speaking gig, I said, hey, do you know any, I Googled what all the other colleges are in the area. And I used the referral approach again, like I learned at Cutco, like I learned on podcasting. I said, do you know any other, I see that there are this school, and this school within a 30-mile radius of you. Do you know anyone at these schools that book speakers? I'd love to reach out while I'm there, and I could save them on travel costs. And then I turned that one speech into 3 speeches. So that's how I started getting more speeches. And then I joined, when I went to the college speaking boot camp, I joined a program called APCA, Association for Professional Campus Activities. And you would go to their trade shows, set up a booth, had a banner made, and I would sit there, so that was my marketing, for 3 days, and I would hand out copies of my book to college students and say, I'd love to come speak, and with brochures, and then they would
give
bring
them
me in
away.
to speak.
You give the book away.
I would just give it away. So, and other people were giving brochures. I said the brochure was a bookmark for and it was an autograph book. So they put 50 brochures in a bag. They weren't going to throw the book away.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And you see, you marketed yourself, and that's so. And one of the I wrote in here about what makes people successful, and here's what they tell people they are good at. I couldn't do that. You must. I'm good. This is my gift. This is my skill set. This is what I'm good at. So I've got 2 more questions for you. If someone listening could only take one rule from this conversation, one sentence they might put on their mirror, what would it be?
Start every day with intention.
Okay. And if you could pass on one rule to everyone who woke up this morning feeling like they're not enough and they lack motivation, what would that rule be?
Tell yourself that you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable as any other person on earth.
Yeah. So my very last question, I promise. You built a community of millions. Do you have a rule about how much of yourself you give away? And when do you protect yourself from that? I get the feeling you don't actually. I think you've got such a generous heart. I feel like you never do.
Yeah, I need rules around that and boundaries around that.
No, I like the fact that you don't. Because
Yeah.
some people, I like the fact that I'm like that. People talk to me. I never go, oh no, boundaries. I would never walk around with security. I think your public make you. And if one thing you say can make them better, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Sometimes people say, you said one thing. I remember a girl saying, I came up to you and you actually held my hand like that and you spoke to me. And I went away and I thought, wow, she likes me. That must be amazing. So, yeah, I like the fact you don't have boundaries. Some people need them and some people don't, because you're a real healer. And healers don't have boundaries, but that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've been
Marisa.
amazing. So if you want to be a speaker, you want to write a best-selling book, and even want a best-selling book that changes lives. See the clearness. I want to write not a book, a best-selling book that changes people's lives. And I want to be a speaker and get really well paid. Set your intention. Do savers. Know you're worth it. You can have anything. You can have everything. but you've got to know your worth and you've got to apply yourself. And here's the master. You've been amazing. You're so generous and kind. You've got the most beautiful heart. I'm glad you're here.
Takes one to know one.
And I'm glad through your adversity you've helped so many people. Thank you, darling, so much.
Thank you, Marisa. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I'm delighted to give you my book, signed to you.
I appreciate it very much.
You're so welcome. I appreciate you.
I will read this.
Yeah, I've read yours. I love it. Where, Hal, can people find you?
The best place is miraclemorning.com. It's kind of the hub for everything. You can find the movie there. You can find the books there. You can find my speaking there. So miraclemorning.com is a great hub.
Thank you so much. See you for the next amazing episode. Your mind, your rules.